And welcome, ghouls and goblins, to the Hallowtide, a Halloween show. And this is a very special podcast miniseries where we discuss all things Halloween. So remember to like, comment, subscribe, and be sure to check out all of our other podcasts on this channel, particularly the Movie Pope. And yes, your eyes do not deceive you. The channel name has been changed from the Bushwhackers to the Movie Pope. Why? Well, it's just a programming thing. But today we are going to this is our very first episode, and we're going to talk about something that is quite interesting that always crops up every year, but I don't think has ever been discussed in detail. Halloween traditions. Now think about it. Every holiday has a tradition. 4th of July, usually you have a barbecue when you go over the state line to buy fireworks because you can't get them legally where you are. Thanksgiving, usually you buy a turkey and you have a big dinner. Christmas, you have a Christmas tree and you sit around the tree every Christmas morning and you share presents. But what are the traditions of Halloween? That is what we're here to discuss today, and we have a great guest. Tiffany Albright, the organizer of the Queer Fear Film Festival in Winston-Salem, is joining us to help answer that question. Tiffany, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm great. It's great to be here.
Excellent, excellent. So, Tiffany, I had you on probably just a few weeks ago to talk about the Queer Fear Film Festival. How'd that go?
It was great. We had a great turnout. A lot of spooky queers came out and a lot of friends and family. It was a real sort of reunion of an event with some returning alumni now that we're in our third year and some new folks who were just checking us out for the first time. So it was a real blast.
And I was going to say too, because when we did the interview, you started it roughly around the time COVID was gaining ground. Um, so I think it was either last year or this year that this is the truly first, truly in person, truly interactive film festival. Is that right?
Yeah, last year was our first year in person, but we were definitely a new kid on the block. This year, I think our attendance doubled from what it was last year. So finding lots of new folks still.
Gotcha, and it's only growing too. So I'm very happy to have had you on our show.
Thank you.
Um, but today I want to talk about Halloween traditions. So typical. So the thing with Halloween is there isn't really like a set tradition that people follow because you can ask different people, "Hey, what are you doing for Halloween?" And that usually comes up every October 1st. Usually, if you have kids or if you are a kid at heart, usually you're planning on going trick or treating, or your parents are hosting a big shindig that's the talk of the block. But I know for people of our age, it's a little bit, shall we say, a little bit mixed. I remember because I remember when I was when I went to college at UNC Greensboro, the only thing that we could do would and I'm sure you can attest to this as well, was basically go to a bar and sit there for a few hours and just drink while people all around you were barely wearing costumes and were just getting sloppy drunk as you were. Um, did you have any weird traditions that you did uh,
Well,
on
I've
your end?
definitely have indulged in some Halloween drinking. Drinking is really like the unofficial tradition of any holiday, as far as I'm concerned. Uh,
Yeah, true, true.
so definitely growing up, right? Trick or treating was my jam. I loved doing costumes and things. But as an adult, I do find it harder to find socially acceptable places to dress up in ridiculous costumes and walk around and ask people for free candy. It's helped a little bit that I have a 14-year-old myself, and I have a couple of god kids who are even younger. So I still get to sort of partake in the trick or treat tradition, which is
That's
really
your free pass right there.
it is, yeah. Get you some kids, nieces, nephews, neighborhood kids, really anybody's kids will work. And take them around and then
But
make sure
I just want to give a disclosure. By no means is she advocating that you walk up to a random kid and kidnap them and use them as an excuse to get candy.
well, I trust your listeners to their own discretion on that one. But definitely, if you are taking a child around, make sure that and I'm doing air quotes here that you can't see, check the candy and make sure you take all your favorite pieces before you give the bag to them at the end of the night.
But I still can't believe that's a thing because you and I can remember, as kids, everybody kept saying the same thing. Oh, you better watch out because you don't know what could be in the candy. And used to hear stories about how people would stick just like random shit in there. Uh,
Yeah, I think those urban legends still persist. I cannot recall ever getting anything more creepy than an unwrapped sucker that looked like it had been chewed on in my Halloween basket. But
Wait, what?
yeah, no, it was a weird night. It's also totally possible that it was one of the other little ruffians in my group of trick-or-treaters. We were very rambunctious neighborhood kids when we were trick-or-treating. So
Well,
that
I
could
was
be Frank.
I was gonna say because I always believed that there was a code of honor when it came to trick or treating. It was that usual. It was this understanding that yes, we all have our own bags of candy, and yes, we're going to go as a group, but there's an understanding that we're not going to kind of dip into in each other's goodie bag, as it were. Um, but it doesn't seem to be a ubiquitous sentiment, right?
I am hypothesizing that you might have grown up an only child. Is that true?
We'll gave it away.
The fact that you think that there's a code of honor between siblings on Halloween. That
I
had an
w-
older brother
was
and a
that
younger
was
sister.
that naivete that evident?
I mean, I think that's a lovely sentiment. I hope there are listeners who have siblings who wouldn't fight them tooth and nail for every last Milky Way in the bucket. But yeah, there were really no holds barred in our divvying up of the candies later in the night. And also, it was really where I learned like the negotiating skills that would go on to serve me in my career.
Right, I have this right. I
Dude,
have these two Milky Ways. I will
exactly.
trade one of them for your Tootsie Roll Pop. If
And
you
you're just out of luck if you've got those weird little hard candies that like the grandmas like to give out because nobody wants those.
see, that's another thing too, because I've always noticed that whenever I looked into the bag, there was always that one little object, that one little piece of candy that you think is a piece of candy, but when you take a closer look, it's clearly a cough drop.
I don't know that I've had that experience. That sounds so disappointing.
I mean, I I mean, I can sort of understand the logic behind it in a weird way because as because if you've ever had to go through a bag of cough drops during a period of intense illness, at some point you're going to start thinking to yourself, it is kind of it is kind of soothing. It's kind of got this nice Jolly Rancher vibe to it, but going back to the main point, it's just weird that someone would just think, you know what, kids love cough drops. Let's just go ahead and just dump that shit in there because they're never gonna know. They're just gonna eat their way through it, until 1 o'clock in the morning. Um, but you've never had that before, have you?
No, I've definitely had the like really rude neighbors who instead of giving out candy would give out mini tubes of toothpaste to encourage us in our oral hygiene after we've eaten an entire bucket full of candy. But I really feel like they're missing the spirit of the event.
So so you just mentioned those types of people, the types of people who are killjoys. What about I've noticed lately that a lot of people have started to do this thing where they would just turn off the porch lights, every Halloween night, and they wouldn't even bother putting out decorations or even a bowl of candy to kind of help yourself from. Has that? Do you think do you think that that's a growing thing? Do you think that's a growing concern?
I don't know. Our neighborhood's still pretty active. I definitely know folks who don't do anything, like they're intentional and clear about that. And I do think killjoy is the right word for them. I don't appreciate them. It is very easy to set out a bag of candy, although I'll take this moment to plug to the idea that it doesn't have to be candy. It also doesn't have to be toothpaste. I'm a big fan of the teal pumpkin movement for non-food treats for kids who have allergies and things like that. So some fun little toys that you picked up at the Dollar Tree, but like, come on, you could do something. Everybody can do something.
I mean, the fact of the matter is that yes, I can sort of understand, if they don't want to, give out candy to people, but at least throw us a bone. At least put up a sign that says, no trick or treaters, or put up like, or even if you don't even care about giving, being generous about giving candy to people, what about just putting a jack o' lantern out there? Like they just can't be bothered with that. I think you know what I think. I think it's holidayism. That's what
Yeah,
I think.
I think these people have no joy in their life. That's what I think.
Well, well, what I'm saying is that they're holidayist. You know, and this is a term that's coined on this channel. You've heard it first. Basically, they are prejudiced towards Halloween. Like October 31st, nothing at
Mm.
all.
What a sad.
December 25th. Oh my God, they've gone Gus Griswold on the place. Your electricity bill is going to go through the roof, but I don't care. I'm just going to like decorate the place. Well, have you ever thought about giving candy to people?
Yeah, we like to do it up big for all of the holidays. So I would say that's a tradition that I also still indulge in. We decorate a lot more even than when I was a kid growing up, because now I can, buy my own decorations, and I end up picking up something inevitably just about every time I'm in the store between September 1st and October 31st that is Halloween related, whether it be candy or we just got some giant pumpkins at the store earlier this week, and we're doing our jack-o'-lanterns this weekend.
Oh,
So those
okay.
things are solid must-dos every year. I have so much fun with it. And it brings me tons of joy when I drive by my own house and look, oh, hey, I'm one of the cutest houses on the block.
So that's the thing I want to ask you too. So when it comes to buying Halloween decorations, are you the type of person who kind of like, who kind of like, buys, one piece at a time, each year until you kind of accumulate a collection, or do you kind of like just, have everything that you need and you just keep using the same thing over and over again each year?
We definitely reuse every year. And so at this point, we do have quite a collection. But I think just about every year we get something new that is sort of special or substantial, larger or possibly more expensive or both. Uh, Especially the stuff that's outside, it doesn't last forever, right? So this year is the last year, unfortunately, for a flock of vultures that I DIY'd from some Dollar Tree flamingos a few years ago. Uh,
Hmm.
and they're so adorable, and they're really great looking in the yard. But when you get up close to them, you can see that, the plastic is like disintegrating because they were $1. And
I
so
mean,
they're not
that fits the aesthetic, though.
well, yeah, but one of them like literally crumbled when I tried to stick it in the ground. So I'm already down a
Oh,
vulture. I think this is their last year, but that'll give me a space in my garden for something else next year. Maybe I'll do a bone graveyard. Or who knows? But yeah, we do lose them occasionally, just to, mishap or age, and then we get to bring something new into the rotation.
so let me ask you this. So are you the type of person when it comes to decorations, do you choose a theme or is it more of like, it's whatever I feel like putting out there this year?
I am definitely from the hodgepodge school of decorating.
Okay,
I
okay.
like a theme, and if we're doing, so I do quite a bit of entertaining, like, and I'm not having a Halloween party this year, but in the past, or when I'm doing other kinds of entertaining, I like to have a theme for a party and to do decorations that all make sense. But just my sort of everyday, every year holiday decorating is very much a mishmash of cool things, and the holiday itself is the only unifying theme.
So can you give us an example of a particular theme you used in the past?
Yeah, so our most recent holiday, uh, Halloween, should I say, was zombie themed, right? So we had everything from quarantine signs, which was very poignant coming out of COVID,
Hmm.
to f- finger foods. I'm doing air quotes here again, that were shaped like fingers and other body parts, uh, so that you're really encouraging people to get into the mindset of a zombie.
I'm assuming you had brains also.
Exactly. Yep. Little brain molds. Yeah, it was super fun, and it was super cute. Slash grizzly, which I guess is really what I was going for. But yeah, anytime I can pull a theme together, I'm always really excited. I've had a dream of doing a mad scientist uh themed party, which I could repurpose some of those decorations for, right? I save everything because I always think it's going to come around again, which is how I end up with the hodgepodge look. But I picked up some really cool vintage, like, pharmacy is the wrong word. Maybe it's the right word. Like beaker type glasses.
Yeah, yeah.
Make for really fun cocktails at like a mad scientist party. So I literally saw the glasses and I was like, okay, that's a theme. I'm going to build a theme around those. I haven't done it yet, but maybe next year.
So 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 since you mentioned that, do you normally go to the big box stores to do it, or do you kind of like to go, follow your own path and check out, secondhand shops, antique stores for, for the kind of aesthetic that you're looking for Halloween decorations?
Oh, it's certainly a mix. The glasses were definitely from a secondhand store. I was talking about the vultures earlier. I DIY quite a bit. So I'm always down to like make my own thing that came to my mind or that I saw on the internet somewhere. I definitely buy from the big box stores, right? If I'm walking through and I see something that catches my eye and I can think of a place for it, although a lot of our places are already filled. But if I'm like, I'm going to make space for that because that's cool, I am not opposed at all to buying something new that I think I'm going to use for a number of years.
But it's so tempting. That's the thing because I was at Walmart just last week, and I remember I was just like I I was just pushing the cart down the Halloween aisle, and I just look around the corner of my eye, and I'm like, huh, that gravestone will look pretty good right about now. And then you just look around, and like, huh, that raven will look pretty good right now. It's just so tempting, but the thing is that and I apologize if I sound, a bit crude, but I just feel kind of weird whenever I'm walking down that section because because in my mind I'm like it's a little bit weird for a man to kind of just look around, hanging around the Halloween decor stuff. If he gets candy, that's fine. I mean, if he gets a pumpkin pail, that's fine. But typically, the only time I've ever seen, a man in that section was when he was with with another woman. I've seldom seen a man all by themselves in that area. Do you think that's a bit
Yeah.
outdated way of thinking?
I, well, that's tricky phrasing there, right? I mean, I definitely have never thought about it that way, and it certainly wouldn't make me think twice. But I think part of that is coming from dual backgrounds of theater, and there are lots of men in the theater, right? Especially in the sort of design side of it. So thinking about production designers and costumers and things, and I'm like, so it's very normal for me for men to be involved in those sorts of artistic, let's make the place look nice things, but also coming from the world of horror filmmaking because I'm a horror filmmaker and I run a horror film festival, and there are 2 to 1 men to women represented, at least maybe even more, right, 3 to 1 in filmmaking. So to me, I'm always thinking if I ever see a guy, I'm like, oh, I wonder if he's working on a cool yard display or I wonder if he's getting ready to make a movie.
Right.
And that feels very normal to me. But I do get where you're coming from. It's certainly still culturally considered women's realm to like decorate things and to make things look aesthetically pleasing. But I do think that's sort of outdated. Yeah.
Yeah, because I went to At Home a few weeks ago, and I will admit I do enjoy going to that store because there's some things that that I do need to put at home, hence why I go there. And I always gravitate towards the pillows because even if you don't even if you don't use any of the other Halloween decorations after November 1st, a Halloween throw pillow you can use any time of year. I use one right now. I mean, every time I go to sleep. So so for me, I've sort of been trying to purge that mentality from my mind or exorcise it, shall we say, just so that just so I don't feel a little bit outdated. And to be fair, nobody's gonna think twice about seeing a guy in a home decor store. It's just normal stuff. But it's just one of those things that kind of crops up in the back of your mind when you're pushing that cart around. So I want to move on to Halloween food because that is something that you see pop up every September. Well, not even September now. Every August, you start seeing the Halloween cupcakes, the pumpkin spice latte if you're so inclined, or if you're me, pumpkin beer. Um,
Ah.
so Tiffany, I want to get your take on this. What are your thoughts on Halloween or fall themed cuisine, shall we say?
I mean, so if it wasn't obvious before, I love a themed just about anything. So I am absolutely more inclined to buy something that is decorated for fall or decorated for Halloween or flavored like fall this time of year when I otherwise probably wouldn't walk into a Starbucks, right? To go just for a pumpkin spice latte. Uh, or to pick up, yeah, cookies or cupcakes as I'm walking past a bakery aisle. Partly because I think it just makes me happy, right? It makes me feel like I'm participating in the cultural event that is the season, which is exactly what they want me to think, right? The the capitalist machine wants me to think that, but
Hmm.
it makes me feel good. But then I think the other thing is that I really like, and not that we got lucky, right? The calendar is what it is, but like that we have these ways of celebrating the changing of seasons. It makes me slow down a little bit and like recognize that time is passing, right? So whether it is, you know, the shift from summer into fall and we get to celebrate these things, the shift from fall into the holiday season, right around the winter. I always feel those visceral reminders when the decor and the holiday themed treats start coming up. And it just makes me more aware in a positive way to like stop and take a minute to whatever, be grateful for the time, but just to like acknowledge that the season has come around again. So it makes me a little introspective, which is maybe a silly way to think about seeing cupcakes and deciding to buy them, but I think that's what's sort of emotionally going on with me too when I make decisions to make impulsive holiday purchases of themed food items.
Yeah, I can just imagine you just like you're standing in the baker, just having a philosophical debate while you're looking at Halloween treats.
Thinking about what I was doing and thinking and feeling last year when I bought that same pack of orange soft sugar cookies.
I mean, you can never escape them because never mind the fact that they're brightly colored and they're, you know, sugared to the point of giving you teeth rot. It's just one of those things where it's instinctively built inside of you. It's part of that inner child that still remains, where you just have to have it. You know,
Oh yeah.
it's kind of like how you're willing to dress up in a ridiculous costume and roam around the streets for 2 hours collecting candy. You know, it's just a more adult way of doing it. Um, do you have a so are there any like particular like fall or Halloween treats that you can't live without? Because mine's pumpkin beer. I'll admit it right now.
No, I love that. So I'm a cider drinker year round, but I do like the fall ciders that we get, right? The seasonals if I'm in a brewery or if I'm just walking past that aisle again at the grocery store and I see something that's like, yeah, a pumpkin cider or a an extra appley fall cider, harvest cider, right? All the buzzwords, right? They land with me. I'm such a good target audience for for seasonal food marketing. I think the other thing that I get really into in the fall and as things start to get cooler are like I'm always on the lookout for like a fancy fall or winter, right as we roll into holiday season, hot cocoa. I'm like
Mhm.
kind of a cocoa snob and cocoa fiend. And I would drink cocoa like every day from October 1st is maybe when it's cold enough. I've been drinking a lot of cocoa this week through like February, right? And that's like a happy place for me. And I'm a tea drinker and like any hot beverages really. So those things I like anyways, but then if you add on the layer of like it's harvest or it's pumpkin. I'm like, yeah, I'm sold. Put it in my cart. I will give you my money.
I mean, it just needs to have a picture of a leaf on it. As long as you have a leaf or a pumpkin,
Basically.
I'm
Yeah.
sold. So
Yeah.
you and I are unfortunately are suffering from the same affliction of harvest, you know, consumerism.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know. I'm happy to have it because I'm a fall baby. So anything that's fall related, yeah, yeah. Just to quote you, just dump it in my cart. I don't care. Money's no object for me.
Yep. I'm here for it. I'm also one of those people who like I have a lot of aids. So we were talking about the molds for the zombie brains, right? I have leaf shaped cookie cutters. I have all like pumpkin shaped things. So I'll like also start turning any food that I can in my own house into a shape that is vaguely fall. Last year I figured out how to use Hershey's Kisses and Nilla wafer minis to make acorns. And they were like super time intensive, but when I had a bowl full of edible acorns, oh man, it was like such an accomplishment. And then I ate them all.
So I'm assuming you didn't tell anybody else about this, right?
Well, I ate the first batch and then I had to make them again for Thanksgiving because I'd taken some pictures of them and people were like, okay, where's that cute food? And I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, damn! I gotta make another batch. I forgot.
Yeah.
Um, I will say this. So every year, every September, the first thing I do is open my wardrobe and take a look and pick out any item of clothing that's orange, yellow, or dark green, or even burgundy, because there's just something in the brain that just says you need to wear earth tone earth tone clothing. Do
Yeah.
you find yourself in that mentality? Like, is that something that just happens automatically, or does that kind of like build on you gradually?
So I would say it's not necessarily with my everyday, shirts, tops, pants, bottoms of any sort. I
Yeah,
have a pretty standard year-round wardrobe there. But what I do pull out late September, early October, and which I have done this year already, are the cardigans and the boots. I'm a huge boot lover, but it's way too hot in North Carolina to wear boots in the summer. But I have just broken out the like 6 pairs of boots that I'm going to wear for the next 4 or 5 months, and all the cardigans that I'm going to layer over all of my t-shirts. And that makes me really happy. That's like the outfit that I would wear every day of the year if I could.
because I was gonna say that part of North Carolina where you're from, it gets cold really, really quickly. Because
Yeah, we're chilly today. It's a rainy day too. Today is like a real good fall day.
oh my God, same here in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say when I was in school in Greensboro, as soon as November hit, it plunged into the 30s, and the clothing I still had was for September. So I was basically walking around campus shivering. I'm like, it never gets this cold in November in Charlotte. So so I was gonna say like I'm sort of envious of you guys because y'all. I mean when it's fall over there, it's fall. There's no transition period. Like it's just chilly, like as you would expect. Um, so I want to circle back to the theme of today's episode. Are there any particular things that you like to do for Halloween, or is it just whatever catches your fancy?
Oh, I've definitely got things that I try to hit up every year. So we've got a couple of really good haunted attractions near us. Both of them happen to be like outdoor haunted attractions. I think it's just the part of North Carolina that we're in. uh,
Yeah, yeah.
I grew up in Ohio and haunted houses, like indoor, were a big thing. So I kind of miss those. I should do some scoping out in like the broader region to find out where the good haunted indoor houses are. But we'll hit one or both of those haunted trails almost every year. We haven't yet this year, but we're definitely going to in the next week or so. And then there's also pumpkin picking, apple picking. I'm a huge fan of all seasonal themed activities. So we're also going to squeeze in both of those. My October gets really hectic, right? Because we've got the film festival and then it's just a couple of weeks until everybody's like, okay, done with Halloween, moving on.
Don't forget the big T, because
It's true. So sometimes you can get a pumpkin picking and apple picking. That's just sort of, the season, right? Whether the apple harvest is still good. But I like to do those things when I can. I didn't talk about this when we were talking about food. The
yeah.
other big thing that I'm a huge fan of this time of year is fresh apple cider. Can't get enough of it. Have a gallon in my fridge right now. I'm always on the lookout for good cider. And we've got a pretty good place about 30 minutes from my house. So we'll make our annual pilgrimage out there sometime in the next couple of weeks to load up on pumpkins and apples and cider. And that's really like, that makes the season hit. It's here for sure when that's happening.
And I'm assuming you're gonna do the obligatory carving of the jack-o'-lanterns, right?
Definitely. We're on it this weekend. Yep. We've got a couple giant pumpkins picked out. We're ready to go.
So just out of curiosity, when you carve a pumpkin, do you usually carve from the top or do you carve from the bottom?
Ooh. I always carve from the top.
Okay. So
It
you're
never
like me then.
occurred to me to do it the other way.
Well, the reason why I asked is because because I was watching a video of someone doing it, and they didn't use a candle like you strike a match and light the wick. They were using one of those LED tea lights,
Mhm.
so they would just carve carve the bottom, stick the tea light under there, and that's how they would get the same effect. But I was just curious because I've always carved from the top, top down, cut the carve the face in, and stick the candle, and then I always have to get the longer matchsticks because I didn't want to burn my hand. And obviously when you're lighting the candle, it's going to flicker around while you're doing it.
Huh.
So I was just wondering if that's something you did.
Now I kind of want to carve from the bottom too, though, because I always hate once you carve it, no matter what, even if you carve it perfectly, it feels like the top never sits right again on it. And that drives
Exactly. Well, not to mention too, the fact that you've got to remove the guts. So if you're carving from the top down, you got to like stick your hand there and scoop it out. Whereas I imagine if you carve from the bottom, starting from the bottom, it's gonna come out more easily.
huh,
You know what I mean?
a good point too. Yeah, I might try that this year. We've got two. I'll try it on one.
And you'll let us know how it goes.
Yeah.
Uh, um, but Tiffany, I just want to thank you for taking the time to be on this on the inaugural episode of the Hallowtide Halloween podcast. And be sure to check out the interview that I did with her for the Queer Fear Film Festival. I'll have that up in the um, description below. And as always, let me know what your favorite Halloween traditions are. But remember to have a spooky and safe Halloween. Stay scary, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Bye.